What is going on, y'all, and welcome back. In my last video, I talked about the PlayStation 3's doomsday, when the server shut down and the digital storefront shut down. Now, I got a lot of comments saying that you could circumvent the issue by jailbreaking your PS3. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about how you, or maybe you shouldn't, break your PS3 out of prison. So I'm going to be going over the pros and cons of having both an official and a jailbroken PS3, and how for the time being, I feel that having an official PS3 is still the way to go. But the thing is, there's still a lot of good stuff to be had from jailbreaking the console, so let's go ahead and jump right into that. All right, so let's start off with the legality of all of this. Can you jailbreak your console? Is it legal? Will the police come after you? So no, the police probably will not come after you. But you know, you are technically in your right to jailbreak a console, and at the same time, you're not. It's kind of like a strange gray area where it is kind of like copyright infringement, but at the same time, it's not. I don't know. That's something that you have to look into. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, if you go out and buy something, like, you own it now. Like this PS3 Super Slim, I own this. I should be able to do whatever I want with this thing, and thus, you should be able to jailbreak. Now, the problem lies when you go to connect to the online servers. Specifically, for this, Sony's online servers, if you have a Switch or Switch 2, Nintendo's online servers. At that point, if you have a jailbroken console running custom firmware, you are infringing upon their agreement with you for buying their console, and thus they can ban you from playing online. Now, I don't know if they can ban you, like actually break your console to make it not work anymore. That, I think, is wrong, and I think they do have some ability to do that, but I don't know. I've never banned myself. If that's happened to you, let me know. I'm really curious about that. But yeah, technically you run that risk. Now, the problem then lies, the biggest problem I would say is having your official PSN account on a jailbroken PS3. You're just running a huge risk of getting banned. It's most likely not going to happen because the console is as old as it is. Sony doesn't really care so much anymore. They only care really if you go online, because you can still play online with this thing. If you go online and you start like cheating and someone reports you, you're going to get banned. Now, a couple other things with that is like trophies. Like, you're actually able, like with the jailbroken console, you can just go unlock a bunch of trophies. Now, if you go and try to sync your trophies with your PSN account and you didn't earn them legitimately, Sony will find out and you will be banned, like no questions asked. So like, just so you know, don't do that. So, that's kind of a big con to me, is not being able to put my official Sony PlayStation Network account onto my PS3 to then sync my trophies, earn trophies, access my digital purchases, play online. You kind of lose access to all that to some degree. You do lose access to that, or like, you just run that big risk. And to me, that risk isn't worth it, because I've made videos here before, where I've spent, a couple $100s on some digital games, and, to lose all those digital games, especially on your PS4 and 5, because your PS3 account is tied to your PS4 and 5, like, you would just lose access to all those games. And that's just a really big deal. You don't want that to happen. Now, another reason why I really don't like to jailbreak consoles, at least in, this is for me, is that like that jailbreak that you're running, you're pulling it from somewhere on the internet, right? You did not make that code. I did not make that code. I don't own it. Now, while that person who did make that code, or that group of people, is allowing anybody and everybody to like go and download and use it, I just don't feel right doing that. I'm a kind of a DIY kind of person. I like to do things myself. And if I knew how to code and I was able to jailbreak my own console, like, kudos to me, good job. But like, I just don't like the idea of kind of like taking someone else's hard work and code, even though they're giving it out for free. And I think they do accept donations, but at the end of the day, I didn't make that. I just don't feel right doing it. And, that's that really. And so, by jailbreaking your console, like, it just doesn't really feel right anymore. You just feels kind of like bootleg, it's unofficial. It's, like I said, someone else's code. And so the feeling just like isn't there anymore. Like, as a collector, and I want my stuff to be in its official and original state as possible. And thus, when you go to jailbreak these consoles, you're taking it away from that, and it's no longer as valuable to me, and maybe to you too, or maybe you don't care, that's up to you. I can kind of relate it to, like, if you ever go and you buy a PS3 or 4 controller, like, online, and the price seems a little good, too good to be true, and then it comes and it arrives, and like, you pull it out of the box, and it's looking a little funny, the plastic's feeling a little weird, buttons are a little clicky, sticks, and you start to use it, and you're having all sorts of weird issues. Like, yeah, you just bought a bootleg controller, and like, those people, whoever made that, who made the bootleg controller made it look so official, though. You know, they put Sony's logo on there, they put PlayStation on there. You know, I kind of relate it to that. You don't, like, at the end of the day, you're going to want to return that, right? You don't want that anymore because it's not original. It doesn't feel like it should, and it's, you know, it's bootleg. You know, you might be cool with it because you paid a little bit less, but, you know, at the end of the day, again, as a collector, and, you know, maybe you too, it just doesn't feel right. It feels just a bit, you know, dirty. Now, again, I'm not completely against jailbreaking your console. If you want to jailbreak your console and not go online and play online and all that good stuff, then I think that maybe you should do that, because if you don't intend to do that, then I mean, it's actually a really good idea to you, because there's a couple of really great things that you can do with a jailbroken PS3. Now, I'm just going to talk about a couple of the most important things to me and why I would use a jailbroken PS3, at least for a little bit. And number one is because these things break. You know, the Super Slim and the Slim are a little bit more reliable than like the original fat models. And thus, you know, these are a little better, but at the end of the day, like, PS3s break. They get the green light of death, they get the yellow light of death, they get the whatever other light of death they can get, you know, they break. And to prevent that, what's really great about custom firmware or jailbroken is that you're able to then see the temperatures of your processors, your GPU and your CPU, and you can also control the fan speed manually, which is fantastic. So then you can see when your console is starting to overheat, and then you can start doing preventive measures like opening it up, changing thermal paste, delidding. You know, that is a really great tool, and it's awesome that, you know, that you can do that by, you know, jailbreaking your console. Unfortunately, Sony doesn't allow you to do that on the official firmware, which kind of sucks, you know. But so that's one of the biggest pros, I would say. And then the second big pro would be being able to back up your physical game collection. Now, this again is a little bit of a gray area. You're technically allowed to do it. You're technically kind of not allowed to do it. Depends what you're going to do. You're allowed to take, you know, your game. Like, I could take a PS2, PS1, PS3 game and put it into my jailbroken console, and I could just rip the whole game onto the hard drive of the console, and then I could even send that file over to my computer. You know, that's a pretty cool thing that you can do. So then you have a digital backup of something that you own. And as long as you don't share it with the world, which, you know, that's what a lot of people do, but as long as you don't share it with the world, you're in your legal right to do that. Now, if you do share it with the world, yeah, you just, you know, you broke the law. That's copyright infringement, this, that, and the other. So, you know, it's good and bad. That's a big pro to me as well. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of other pros out there as well to jailbreaking your console. But for now, the PlayStation Store is still up. Like, it's still running. You can still play online with the PS3. You can still sync your trophies and earn trophies on your PS3 and on your PS4 or 5. You can go and you can view those trophies that you earned. I think that's awesome, and that's one of the main reasons why I do not want to do it, is because it's, you know, the PS3 is still supported. You can still, like, have that account and earn stuff and see it, and it's just, that's important to me. So, you know, let me know your thoughts below. Like, what do you think about all this? Do you jailbreak your console? Do you run the risk and just go use your main account and risk the ban? You know, more power to you. I'm not going to say you're doing the right or the wrong thing, you know. At the end of the day, it's your decision. You get to make the choices, you know. That's you. So, you know, that's my opinions, though, and let me know what you thought below. And check out some of my other PS3 videos. I'll put them up on screen. Like I said, I was talking about when the PS3 server shut down. I call it the Doomsday. I made that video before. I also have a video where I kind of go over how to navigate the PS3 store. I'll put that video up here as well. That's a really great one if you're looking for some good PS1 and PS2 classic games to get on that store without paying, you know, the hundreds of dollars at times that they can cost on the used secondhand market physically. So, you know, go check those out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next